Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Quran in English. My name is Ahmed, and I'm happy to take you through a new chapter in the Quran where I read the Quran in Arabic, or at least try to read it in Arabic because my Arabic reading is not the best. And then I discuss it in English. I'm doing this so that I can learn about the Quran, and I'm sharing my learning journey with you in the hopes that you might learn something. Yeah, that's all we need. Anyway, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. And off we go. Alif Lam Mim. We've covered these many times. قُلِبَتِ الروم. Oh, by the way, this chapter is called Surah Al-Rum, the chapter of Al-Rum, the chapter of the Romans. And here we are. The Romans were defeated, have been defeated. Dun dun dun. في أدنى الأرض وهم من بعد غلبهم سيغلبون. Here it says in a nearby land. Another translation could be in the lowest part of the earth. Adna can be the lowest, the nearest, the closest part of the earth. So in a nearby land they were defeated, but they are, after their defeat, they will triumph, they will win. غلبهم يغلبون. It's the same word. After they were defeated, they will defeat. They will triumph. So we'll see the story in a little bit of detail in a second. Right here, actually. في بضع سنين. في بضع سنين. لله الأمر من قبل ومن بعد. ويومئذ يفرح المؤمنون. Here it says within 3 to 9 years. All it says is within a few years. Now this footnote can kind of give you the context of what we're talking about. This Meccan surah takes its name from the reference of the Romans in verse 2. The world superpowers in the early 7th century, aka when the time of the Prophet was, were the Roman, Byzantine, and the Persian empires. They went to war in 614 CE. The Romans suffered a devastating defeat. The Meccans, pagans, rejoiced at the defeat of the Roman Christians at the hands of the Persian pagans. Soon, verses 31:1 through 5, so we're in 4, this one and the next one, were revealed, stating that the Romans would be victorious in 3 to 9 years. 3 to 9 years is not what the verse says. The verse says a few years. I don't know why it says 3 to 9 years, because we can read the word here, في بضع سنين, in a few years. 3 to 9 is crazy as a translation, because they must have added it, because it's not in the words in Arabic. And if you've added it, then why don't you just add the exact number of years? Why would you say 3 to 9? I don't know, it confuses me. 8 years later, the Romans won a decisive battle against the Persians, reportedly on the same day that the Muslims vanquished the Meccan army at the Battle of Badr, which we've covered, the Battle of Badr in chapter 2. Way back when. God, that feels like forever ago. There's a lot of the Quran. Interesting. It's just, it's, again, the Prophet Muhammad was not just a messenger, but he was also a prophet, because he had a prophecy, and part of his prophecy is the Quran. The Quran does talk about what's going to happen in the future. This was more relevant at the time of the Prophet. For us, it's hard to say, oh, when did this happen, before, after, we can't really see. But anyway. بنصر الله ينصر من يشاء وهو العزيز الرحيم. By the support of God, with the help of God, He helps whom He wills, and He is the Almighty and most merciful. It's very interesting. It's very cool. I like the prophecy part of the Quran when it comes true. And then I don't know why this font is different to this font, but for some reason it just changes the fonts throughout. It's very strange. وعد الله لا يخلف الله وعده ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. That is the promise. It's the promise of God. God does not break His promise, does not disappoint His promise, but most people do not know. Yeah, because most people don't know what God's promising. Well, I mean, anyway. Fair warning. I'm a bit tired today, so my reasoning is a bit challenged, let's say. I think. I don't know. What shall I say? يعلمون ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا وهم عن الآخرة هم غافلون. They know what is made apparent, what they can see from the worldly life, and they are about the hereafter, what happens in the afterlife, in oblivious. Oblivious is a good word. I like that word. And then it goes about to give a bunch of examples and reasons of things that we've heard many times in the Quran, which frustrates me. أولم يتفكروا في أنفسهم ما خلق الله السماوات والأرض وما بينهما إلا بالحق وأجل مسمى وإن كثيرا من الناس بلقاء ربهم لكافرون. Did they not reflect upon themselves? God has not created the heavens and the earth and what is between them except in truth. And again, it's that word بالحق. What does it mean بالحق? Justly, accurately, for a reason, in truth? No. Yeah, here they've written for a purpose. وأجل مسمى, and for a term that is appointed. Here they've translated it for a purpose. Here it's translated for truth. Stuff I've talked about it for justice. I mean, the argument that I use is, can you really imagine that everything exists just for the sake of existence? That's kind of, at least for me, it doesn't make sense. There has to be a reason, I think. Anyway, and indeed, most of the people with the meeting of their Lord are disbelieving. Most people are in denial of the meeting of their Lord. And this we have seen many times before. أولم يسيروا في الأرض فينظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبلهم كانوا أشد منهم قوة وأثاروا الأرض وعمروها أكثر مما عمروها وجاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات فما كان الله ليظلمهم ولكن كان أنفسهم يظلمون. We have heard these exact words many, many times before. Did they not travel through the earth? So they observed how was the end of those from before them. And they were mightier than them in strength, and they dug in the earth, and they built upon it more. They have what the people who are looking at built upon it. So there are other civilizations that built more and were stronger and were mightier. We've seen this time and time and time again. And their messengers came to them with clear proofs. And God did not do wrong to them, but it was to themselves they wronged. This whole verse we have seen many times in many variations. And a big point is why. Why do we have so much repetition? If anything, it makes it harder to try and remember everything that's in the Quran if there is this much repetition. There's just too much. There's too many words. And a lot of the words say the same thing. Yeah, but the context matters. So let's continue reading and see how the context changes. ثم كان عاقبة الذين أساءوا السوء أن كذبوا بآيات الله وكانوا بها يستهزئون. And then it was the end of those who did evil, that they denied our signs, the signs of God, and they were making a mockery of them. But again, this was only from the time of the Prophet and before, not so much after. الله يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده ثم إليه ترجعون. God originates the creation, then He repeats it, then to Him you are returning. ويوم تقوم الساعة يبلس المجرمون. On the day that the hour will be established, the criminals will be in despair, will be dumbstruck. The wicked will be dumbstruck. ولم يكن لهم من شركائهم شفعاء وكانوا بشركائهم كافرين. Now I'm just translating it. I mean, there will be no intercessors for them, and on that day there will be no intercessors. They will not have for them from their partners. Their partners will not be there to intercede on them, and they are of their partners disbelievers. They will totally deny their associate gods. Again, Judgment Day. We've heard this verse many times before. ويوم تقوم الساعة يومئذ يتفرقون. And on when the hour has come, on that day they will become separated. Here they're saying it's two groups, but it just says they will be separated. But it does talk about two groups following that. فأما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فهم في روضة يحبرون. فأما الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فهم في روضة يحبرون. And those who believed and did good deeds, then they are in a garden that will be delighted. And I always have this question of, okay, what about those who do good deeds but they didn't believe? The Quran does say that they will feel the weight of those good deeds. What does that mean? Because here it's emphasizing that belief is belief and good deeds. So I see that there's like four types of people: those who believe and do good, those who believe and don't do good, those who don't believe and do good, and those who don't believe and don't do good. It's saying only those who believe and do good will be in heaven and everybody else will suffer. Why wouldn't those who don't believe but they do good get in there anyway? I don't know. Ramadan's getting to me. It's been a week, bro. Astaghfirullah. وأما الذين كفروا وكذبوا بآياتنا ولقاء الآخرة فأولئك في العذاب محضرون. But those who disbelieved and they denied our signs and the meeting of the hereafter, then those will be in the torment. They will be brought towards the torment. Oh no, here it's saying they'll be confined, but being brought makes more sense. They'll be brought to torment. فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون. Okay. Glory be to God when you reach the evening and when you reach the morning, evening and morning. وله الحمد في السماوات والأرض وعشيا وحين تظهرون. And for him is the praises of the heavens and the earth at night and when you are at noon. Y'all counted with me, right? That was 4. Evening, morning, night, noon. So what, of course, does the translation say? This verse outlines the times of the 5 daily prayers. The evenings refer to Maghrib and Isha prayers. The morning refers to Fajr, the afternoon refers to Asr. They literally mentioned 4 times, and somehow they say one refers to both. There was once I found a mention of the 5, Fajr, Asr, but it wasn't about prayer. I can't remember where I found it. Needless to say, I don't count 5, I count 4. يخرج الحي من الميت يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون. He brings forth the living from the dead, and he brings forth the dead from the living, and he gives life to the earth after it dies, and thus you will be brought forth. Again, not a new concept. We've covered it many, many times in these verses. Also talks about sleep, also talks about seeds that are dead but that they bring forth life, and then after we die, then we're going to be resurrected, and life and death is all within God's hands. ومن آياته أن خلقكم من تراب ثم إذا أنتم بشر تنتشرون. And from his signs that he created you from dust, and then behold, you are human beings dispersing. You're human beings spreading over the earth. Yeah, created from dust is quite often, and then we're humans spreading across the earth. Which is like, what is... It's so hard to say that this is a sign, because we know this, but we can't see that we were created from dust or clay. You know? How is it a sign? A sign should be something that we can see. No? And then it continues with more signs. ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون. And from among his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates, so that you may find tranquility in them, and he placed between you love and mercy. And in that is a sign for people who reflect. So, question. For those who are married, but they do not have any love or mercy between them, is that the wrong marriage? Does that mean there is the right person to do so? And why does he say spouses from yourselves? Wasn't that only for Adam and Eve? She was created from him? But he's talking to the plural. Spouses from yourselves. Are all of our spouses from ourselves? All of our marriage companions from us? Because that would be interesting. For the people who reflect. I am trying to reflect as much as possible. And I don't know. ومن آياته خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف ألسنتكم وألوانكم إن في ذلك لآيات للعالمين. And from his signs, or his verses, no, from his signs, he created the heavens, the skies, and the earth, and the diversity of your languages and your colors. It technically says your tongues, but we understand it to be your languages, and your colors being your races. Indeed, in that is a sign for those of knowledge. And I always struggle, we have different languages, and we have different sign and different races. But then could you explain why? Wouldn't that help us? You say that it's a sign, but what does it mean that it's a sign? You know what I mean? And since there are different tongues and different languages, why did the Quran come in Arabic? And if there are so many languages, why are there not more scriptures in other languages? Will there be more scriptures in other languages? I don't know. Indeed, in that is a sign for those of knowledge. ومن آياته منامكم بالليل والنهار وابتغاؤكم من فضله إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يسمعون. From his signs, your sleep you can sleep by night, and during the day you can seek from his bounty, so you can seek to satisfy to get what you need. Indeed, in that is a sign for people who listen. Which I never understood why he variates and says listen. What does listen have to do with understanding that night is for sleep and day is for seeking bounty? Je suis fatigué. ومن آياته يريكم البرق خوفا وطمعا وينزل من السماء ماء فيحيي به الأرض بعد موتها إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يعقلون. One of his signs, among his signs, he shows you the lightning as causing fear and hope, and he sends down from the heavens water, so he gives life to the earth after its death. Indeed, in that is a sign for people who use reason, who use intellect. I don't know. My brain's not braining. ومن آياته أن تقوم السماوات ومن آياته أن تقوم السماء والأرض بأمره ثم إذا دعاكم دعوة من الأرض ثم إذا دعاكم دعوة من الأرض إذا أنتم تخرجون. And from his signs that you stands the heavens and the earth by his command, and then when he calls you with a call from the earth, and when he calls you out of the earth, then behold, you will come forth. Yeah. Listen, when it comes to the day of resurrection, when we are pulled back from the earth to face resurrection, that is a great sign that we cannot see until it's too late. You know what I mean? I'm struggling a bit. I'm going to say this in between every verse. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Ahmad! وله من في السماوات والأرض كل له قانتون. And to him belongs everyone in the heavens and the earth. All to him are obedient. All are subject to his will. That makes more sense. وهو الذي يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده وهو أهون عليه وله المثل الأعلى في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. And he is the one that originates the creation, then he repeats it, and it is easy for him. And for him is a description that is the highest of the heavens and the earth, and he is the Almighty and All-Wise. ضرب لكم مثلا من أنفسكم هل لكم من ما ملكت أيمانكم من شركاء فيما رزقناكم فأنتم فيه سواء تخافونهم كخيفتكم أنفسكم كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعقلون. This we've heard before, and I've struggled with it before, and I'm going to struggle with it again. He sets forth for you an example from amongst yourselves. Is it for you among what you possess as your right hands from partners? From what possesses your right hand, which we understand it to be the bonds people. Min shuraka. Oh, from any of the or bonds people or slaves that you own. Are they any partners in what we have provided for you? So then you are equal to them. Do you fear them as you fear for yourselves? Which is like, what are you saying here? Are you saying that a slave is not equal to you with what you own and what we have provided for you, and you are not afraid for them the same way that you're afraid for yourself, but you're afraid for yourself more than you're afraid for them? What? My brain's not braining. كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يعقلون. This is how it makes sense clear for people who use reason. I'm trying to understand my hardest, and I don't understand this. Footnotes. The passage says that since humans will not allow those who are inferior to them to become their partners in wealth, how can they set up helpless partners with Allah and His kingdoms? Which, again, I'm against this concept of inferior human. I don't get it. That don't make sense to me. بل اتبع الذين ظلموا أهواءهم بغير علم فمن يهدي من أضل الله وما لهم من ناصرين. Nay, they follow those who did wrong, they follow their own desires without any knowledge, then who can guide the one whom God has let go astray? And they have not for them any helpers. Which again puts the onus back on God, because God has let them go astray. فأقم وجهك للدين حنيفا فطر فطرة الله فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها لا تبديل لخلق الله ذلك الدين القيم ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. So set your face to the religion upright, be steadfast in your religion. The nature of God, the one He has created for mankind's on it. There is no changing the creation of God. That is the religion that is correct, but most people do not. Correct? Qayyim? The straight path. That is the straight path. That makes more sense. But most people do not know. I don't know. I'm struggling. What have these verses told us today? Any new information? The Romans. That was interesting. The Romans were defeated and then they were going to win again. And according to the timeline that has been shared to us, that seems to have happened after the Quran was revealed. That was cool. Everything else I struggled with today. Anyway, that's it. That's the star. Let's hope tomorrow's session is a lot better. Tomorrow's session will come in about 7 hours, 8 hours, if I do it on Fajr. Because today I obviously didn't do it for Fajr, for sunrise. This is after sunset, so cheers for coffee. Anyway, صدق الله العلي العظيم, just as the word of God. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. See you tomorrow. مع السلامة. Bye.